few days ago, I asked my older two boys to go into our schoolroom and get it cleaned up. I had happened to go in there for something, and it was just a disaster. It was so awful. Stuff everywhere, books piled in places they shouldn't be, trash on the floor. I was like, this can't be this way. So I said, boys, get in there, clean that room up. I'll be back to check on you. Well, I was upstairs, got distracted doing something else, and the boys came up, and I said, hey, is that room clean? They said, yeah, Dad, we got it cleaned up. It's good. I said, okay. I didn't have time anymore to go check on it, so I just took their word for it. Well, later that night, I was headed back down to my office and decided, I'll peek into this schoolroom and see how they did. And I don't know that they did anything. I don't know what cleaning they thought they had done. So I called them in and said, boys, this is not acceptable. You can't call this clean. And my oldest said, Dad, we would do a lot better job cleaning if you would just lower your expectations. And I didn't laugh then, but I thought, I guess he has a point. Like, if I didn't expect it to be clean, if my standards were different, I would probably evaluate their performance a little differently. Sometimes we struggle with what those standards are, and God has some standards for us in our spiritual life. I had to straighten my boys out on what the standards for cleanliness are in their schoolroom, and God gives us some pretty clear standards on what He expects from us. And one of those places is really fascinating to me. It's 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 12. Peter has been talking about just holy behavior, being part of God's family, and all of that stuff. And he begins to talk now about their behavior out in the world. And this is what he says. He says, keep your behavior excellent among the Gentiles, so that in the thing in which they slander you as evildoers, they may, because of your good deeds, as they observe them, glorify God in the day of visitation. Now, there's a lot in that verse, but the thing that strikes me is just the where the bar is set as far as God's expectations of us. Peter says, keep your behavior excellent. Not okay, not pretty good, not a little bit better than the really bad people, but he says, keep your behavior excellent. Excellent brings to mind the best of the very best, right? We think of championship performers in a sport as excellent. We think of high achievers in academia as excellent in their field. Excellence brings to mind that idea of just the best of the best, high performance, excelling above everyone else. And also this word excellent, as Peter was using it, just speaks to that which is good. It is good in its character. It wants to do good. It looks good. It just has an essence of good about it. And then he refers to that again later, because of your good deeds. So when he says keep your behavior excellent, he says keep it good. Do that which is good out in society. That's what is expected of us. This also has the idea, this word good has the idea of being useful. Something that has a purpose, something that accomplishes something. And so I think he says, don't waste your opportunities. Keep your behavior such that it is productive. And when Peter is talking about productivity, you better believe he's talking about spiritually. So make your behavior such that it is productive for God's kingdom, that you're accomplishing something for the kingdom with everything that you do. That's what excellent behavior is. And the aim of this behavior, he says, at the end of the day, is to glorify God. And that's a question I even ask my boys. As silly as that story was, and we look at doing chores around the house or cleaning a room, it's, do you think that the way you approached that chore, that task, do you think that would bring glory to God? Was he glorified by your attitude, by your approach? And that's a question we can ask ourselves. Is God glorified by the way I carry on that conversation with my neighbor? Is God glorified by the attitude I'm displaying out in the community right now? Am I behaving in such a way that I am aiming to give God all the glory with my life. I know it's a high standard, but Peter says what God expects from each of us as believers is that we would keep our behavior excellent.